Hello, good afternoon, brothers. How you guys doing? Better not lose my glasses with these masks. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed last night's stream. Here we are for our Sunday live army list show. I have updated my list since the last one. Yes, Lord Lethargic. I managed to grab it off Discord a few minutes ago. Thanks for posting it. Also, thanks for being here. It's always nice when people's lists we're looking at are in the chat. So we'll start with your list since you're here. I mean, Steel Rain's here as well. Today's lists, and you know what, I should have posted them into Facebook, I guess. It is Lord Lethargic, it is Steel Rain, it is Cameron J217, and it is Nell Jeru. That mask is amazing. Yeah, mask is pretty cool, isn't it? It's Big Grim from the Plastic Crackheads channel actually bought this for me. I didn't buy it myself, so shout out to him. But yeah, I normally don't like my Marines without helmets on, but I mean, this is the best I can do, right? The setup behind you looks good. Yeah, I mean, finally we're in the new house, right? So I have way too much Imperial Assault stuff up here. Necromunda, Blood Angels, Magic the Gathering. All the 40k boxes there, they're all behind my head. Maybe if I move here, we've got 2nd edition, Deathstorm, I think it was like 5th edition, Shadow Spear, Necromunda, Dark Imperium. I've got more. Maybe there's one up there, maybe you just can't see it yet. 4th edition's up the top. Assault on Black Reach. So we have a bunch of my stuff's so much more organized in this house, so really happy about that. But anyway, thanks for being here, guys. Hope you enjoy today's stream, and we're going to be looking at army lists. I actually have to submit a tournament list this week for the tournament I'm going to, grand tournament next weekend. No, not next weekend, sorry, the weekend after that, but I have to submit my list this week. So I'm hoping to get some inspiration from some of today's lists, and yeah, I was desperately working on a Volkite Contemptor. Maybe you can see him here last night on stream. So, I mean, he's not brilliant, but he is playable. He does have 3 colors, he does have bases, and he is magnetized as well. So we got another Volkite Contemptor. I might run 2 of them. I am not sure. Cool. All right, let's get straight into Lord Lethargic's list. In chat, if anyone had anything exciting they wanted to discuss from yesterday, the big day of Warhammer reveals, for me it certainly seemed a little bit anticlimactical. There was, for 40k, there was a Custodes versus Genestealer Cults box, I believe. But yeah, that doesn't really interest me much at all. Sanguinius being released. I assume you're trolling. The GW stream yesterday was god awful. Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually catch it yesterday. But okay, let's have a look at Lord Lethargic. And this should be a fun list because, Lord, you've been in the channel a lot recently, so hopefully you've been listening to what I've said. And like I said, I'm going to take some inspiration from some of you guys' other lists. So, hey, Blood Angel Commander, since I submitted the list for consideration, I've changed my thinking on some things and reworked it. Here it is in its current form. Hey, bro, finally put together my first ever list. Congrats. Yeah, you logged on right as I was logging off last night, Ari, and you donated $5, which is super appreciated. And thanks for coming back. I guess, yeah, I would... You know, typically on these army list shows we learn a lot, but also, I'd appreciate if you... Did you join the Discord and stuff? And also, we tend to... I should have actually said that. I haven't done that for a little while on the army list show. So, let me just pull up this so I've got it in front of me in case I need it. Where the hell is Blood Angels? They're not here. Alright, Blood Angels, I'll just type it. Alright, I'm going to pull up the Blood Angel stuff, but if you want to submit a list for future shows, you head over to youtube.com/c/Blood Angels Commander, you click on community, and in the latest community post, at the moment it's this one about 3 grots and a Voxcast, and what you do is you just put your comment into the latest community post. So just put a comment with your army list from Battlescribe or anything like that, And I will pick it up from there. I'll get a notification because you put a comment on the community article, and I'll be able to add you to the queue for reviewing your lists. I think the idea of being on Terra is so crazy it's kind of dumb. Genestealer cults, I mean. I think the idea of Genestealer cults on Terra... yeah, I mean, I'm sort of with you. Genestealer cults on Terra doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I put a list in there, some guys give me advice. It's super cool. Okay, cool. And tag me in it, because I actually haven't checked Discord much today, so tag me in it and I'll see, and or submit it for a future army list and I'll go over it. I tried to post in 3 Vox, it didn't show, so I put in the next newest post. Okay, Chris. Strange, I don't know why it wouldn't, but I mean, I guess I'll pick up from the next post, it's not a problem. Okay, so this is a battalion, 7 CP, 1999 points, and we have 1 extra relic of the chapter, and we start off with a squad of company veterans, 1 storm shield, 1 lightning claw, 1 power sword, and a storm shield. How much is the power sword in these guys? Is it 5? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm gonna have to check that. A power sword on a company veteran. Oh, I'll be here. Company veterans. Your power sword is gonna cost you... Oh, the same 3 points as a lightning claw. Okay, I mean, I guess I can get on board of it. It's got 1 extra AP than the lightning claw, but the lightning claw does get those reroll wounds. So I guess like it's like Coke or Pepsi. There's very little difference between these two things. A lightning claw is good because the reroll wounds. Arguably, in some situations, if you're fighting against high toughness enemy, the reroll wounds is going to be better. But in some situations, the minus AP would be better. So that's fine. 2 company veterans then, 54 points. Captain on a bike, upgraded with a Gift of Foresight and the Adamantium Mantle, I guess from Artisan of War, an Infernal Pistol, a Thunderhammer, and the Armor Indomitus. This is my captain that I run every week on, week out. I love him. He's very strong, very survivable, always does good damage. You then have your Librarian, Might of Heroes, Null Zone, Psychic Fortress, Chapter Master, Chief Librarian, Force Sword, Jump Pack. This is by Librarian as well, pretty much run exactly how I run him. And the Primaris Tech Marine with Soul Warden and upgraded to Master of the Forge, so when he does repairs, he will repair a flat 3 damage. There's no rolling a d6 when you repair, you just always repair 3. So that is good. I need a tissue because my nose is running. 1 second. I don't have any tissues in here, so we're just going to blow our nose on a bit of paper that I was using for painting on, so that'll do. Okay. So 3 strong characters, and the thing I like about 3 characters in a list is you only give up 10 points for Assassinate. If you add these guys up in points, 240, so it's like 405 points. So I think if you have more than 3 characters, or if you much more than like 400 points, you probably need to rethink your characters, right? Like, I really don't like adding more than 3 characters to a list now. I think you want to make it difficult for the enemy to score against you, and I think this is exactly how you do it. Okay, probably not enough lightning claw bits to go around. I mean, that could be the reason. The Tech Marine also has the master-crafted weapon. Alright, so I missed that. The master-crafted weapon on the Tech Marine. So the Tech Marine's Forge Bolter, I guess, is 3 damage a hit. Interesting. Do you know what? I ran the Tech Marine before with Quake Bolts. Because Quake Bolts means if the Tech Marine makes a single hit, then any other unit that melees the thing that he hit gets +1 to attack. And I found that was very good with stuff like Blade Guard veterans, for example. The weakest thing about Blade Guard veterans, I guess, is that they hit on 3s. So if you had... if you have a Quake Bolts in the army list, and you've got a Quake Bolts on like the Tech Marine that can hit on 2s, you just need to make that 1 shot, and then you'll basically be able to... make a whole squad of Blade Guard veterans get +1 to hit, or a Terminator squad, or whoever it is that you've got that would benefit from +1 to hit. That's also a good choice. But the Forge Bolter Mastercrafted, I never feel like the Forge Bolter does that much work, so I guess it's an okay pick. I don't hate it. Don't know if it's going to be super valuable, but I mean the Tech Marine generally lives for 3 or 4 turns, so potentially it could do 3 or 4 more damage over the course of the game. Yeah, I mean it's okay. The one thing that I also like about the Tech Marine, the Forge Bolter for Quake Bolts, is that you can advance and still shoot. Yes, it is -1 to hit, but it still means that you can potentially have like quite a good range on Quake Bolts from the character. Anyway, okay, moving on. Assault Intercessors and Incursors, and these are probably the troop choices I would take in a battalion. At the moment I've been running 2 Assault Intercessors and 1 Incursors, but I finally used my £10 voucher from Warhammer, actually, from Warhammer Plus, so I bought another squad of Incursors today, or another box of Incursors, so I will have the ability to run 2 squads of Incursors and 1 squad of Assault Intercessors. I like it a lot. Incursors obviously get access to Smokescreen and Transhuman. They can be made pretty reliable. So yeah, these are good troop choices. I don't think I have much else to say about the troop choices. I think they're decent. We have 5 Blade Guard veterans. And I think 5 Blade Guard veterans are good in any list. You know, they're very survivable. They're very nasty in melee. I often say Sangri Guard are the most damaging unit we have. Well, Blade Guard veterans are right up there with them. Hard to argue that Blade Guard veterans are a bad unit. We then have a Leviathan Dreadnought with 2 Twin Volkite Cavaliers, the Grav Flux and the Siege Claw. We have a Redemptor Dreadnought with the Macro Onslaught and Gatling Cannon, and I think this is the best way to arm your Redemptors. We have 2 more Redemptors, similar loadout, but without the rocket pods. And I think Storm Bolters are better than the Frag Storms here. I think they're more reliable over the course of the game. And then we have the Relic Contemptor with the Cyclone Missile Launcher and the 2 Twin Volkite Caverns. Okay, so 1 Relic Contemptor, and then we've got 1 squad of Inceptors. And I guess that's the list, right? Wow, okay. So 5 Dreadnoughts. 1 squad of Inceptors, 1 squad of Blade Guard veterans, your 3 troop choices, your 3 strong HQ, and the company veterans. Yeah, maybe in this list you actually don't need Quake Bolts then, because Quake Bolts... Yeah, Quake Bolts I feel is going to be a slightly lower value pick, maybe. I mean, it'll be good if... It'll be good if the Blade Guard or the Redemptors or Leviathan get in, but for the most part, yeah, I mean, it's a maybe Mastercrafted weapon. The thing I'm thinking though is a Mastercrafted weapon on the Forge Bolter for the Tech Marine, is that better than maybe giving like the Blade Guard veteran sergeant some sort of war gear? Because you can do that with Angel's Ascendant, right? The problem with the Blade Guard veterans, I guess, though, is that they already have Mastercrafted swords, so you couldn't Mastercraft their sword. So where is Angel's Ascendant again? It's been a little while. You get, what's the options for Angel's Ascendant? If I can spell Ascendant. There we go. You can give them a Mastercrafted weapon, digital weapons, flesh, render grenades, or quake bolts. Maybe not. I guess if it was just an Incarmite sword and you can Mastercraft it, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I guess not. I'd rather have a jump pack unit than the Blade Guard veterans unless there's a distinct lack of movement. That's probably fair to say. Like, would it be better to just have a squad of Vanguard veterans or Sangri Guard here? I guess the question is, right, And I think it's a good question. I think it's a good point Steel Rain made, in that, like, you have 5 dreadnoughts. So these things are going to be slow and lumbering, but they will lumber towards the middle of the battlefield and sort of take over the battlefield, I guess. Especially with the fact you can have them all inside the Psychic Fortress, and you can have them all getting repaired by the Tech Marine, and you can get rerolls. So yeah, I think there's a good point there that, like, maybe the Blade Guard veterans would be better as like a jump unit. And I guess you do have the Inceptors. And how many CPU are you starting with? 7. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I like Dreadnoughts right now. I always prefer Sangri Guard over Vanguard vets. I would hide them off the board, or hide them in cover or something like that, and only bring them out when you need them. I think you get about 32 points per Sangri Guard, so you get about 5 Sangri Guard and you've got 15 points left over. I don't know how you save. Do you know what I'd probably do? The Cyclone Missile Launcher is probably the weakest thing here on this list. And the Cyclone Missile Launcher, we've talked about it a lot on the stream. Like, people generally think it's overcosted. It's, a multi-melta is 25 points and it's reliable for damage. A Cyclone Missile Launcher is 25 points and it's really not reliable. You don't need the Cyclone here for anti-horde, because you already got like 1, 2, 3 Onslaught Cannons and 2 Twin Volkite Caverns and 2 Twin Volkite Coverins. So you definitely don't need the Cyclone Missile Launcher in terms of like anti-horde, like firing off frag grenades or frag missiles. So I would drop the Cyclone Missile Launcher. That gives you 25 points. I'd maybe drop the Blade Guard Veteran as well, so you basically have 200 points. So at that point you could have a 6-man Sangri Guard. I think, yeah, you could have a 6-man Sangri Guard. What are they, 32 points per model? Why am I struggling to do this in my head? I shouldn't be. 32 times 6, 192. So you could get the 6-man Sangri Guard and have like 8 points left over. What could you do with those 8 points? You could give one of them an Infernal Pistol. Alright, and then you had 1 point left over here. Yeah, okay, so what I would do is a 6-man Sangri Guard with 1 Infernal Pistol, drop the Cyclone, drop the Blade Guard, or just take the 6-man Sangri Guard, don't put any weapon upgrades on them at all, and give your company veteran sergeant a Thunderhammer, because that would be the 9 more points, and you would have 8 points plus the one you didn't spend out of the 1999, so that would give you 9 points. So you could take a Thunderhammer, I believe. On a company veteran, I believe the Thunderhammer is 12 points. Please tell me I'm not wrong, it's been a little while. Yeah, Thunderhammer is 12 points. So that would just give you, like, company veteran sergeant gets a good number of attacks. It's just like a little guy with Thunderhammer. Anyone ever used Archangel Shard? Oh, I love it. I mean, I guess they'll get up against the right armies. Archangel Shard is going to be very, very good, right? But it's kind of a situational one in that, like, if you pick it against a bunch of armies, it doesn't do much work. It's the Archangel Shard is a sword. It's basically a power sword. It replaces a power sword or a mastercrafted power sword with strength +2, -4 EP, 2 damage. Against chaos it's 3 damage, against chaos monsters it's 4 damage. So it's good for like a company champion or something like that. If I nix the Cyclone Missile Launcher and the Blade Guard veterans, I can take a squad of 6 Sangri Guard. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because you already got slow moving, high durability models. So the enemy are going to be forced to shoot at these slow moving, high durability models anyway. So why not take one fast moving squad? And yes, I guess you do have the Inceptors, and they are fast moving and they can perform objectives. But the Inceptors aren't very killy. I mean, they'll kill toughness 3 infantry all day long, but if you run into any sort of heavy armor above toughness 5, I guess you're only wounding on 5s, so you're only going to do like chip damage at the best of times with Inceptors. Well, with the bolter Inceptors. That's how I like to run Inceptors anyway. Most people write off, since it's situational, but 1,000 Suns and Death Guard being a thing, it might be an okay pick. Yeah, I think Archangel Shard has a place. It's hard to include in the tournament, I guess, because against a bunch of armies, is going to be kind of worthless. What's up, Reziel? Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. We're just getting started on Lordless Psychic's list. So, I mean, I can't argue with 3 characters at all. They're the 3 I take. I can't argue with their troop choices. These would probably be the 3 I take if I have these. At the moment, I do slightly different just because I don't have the models. I will have soon, obviously. I love the Inceptors with bolt guns. I think they're great. The Relic Contemptors and the Redemptors, I love these models as well. I think they're great. I mean, I do think Blade Guard veterans are great as well, but I think I'm in a tough situation with my list, trying to figure out how to balance the amount of shooting with fast moving mobile troops, and I think you need to have some fast moving troops in a Blood Angels list to be super successful. So I was considering 4 Dreadnoughts. I'm on the fence about that. I might run it tomorrow night. We'll see. I think that like 5 boxes you win a little bit. Like, it's not bad. You definitely have like a Death Star of Dreadnoughts here. If they're all together, they're all very survivable and they all get really good bonuses to hit and stuff. But it's maybe it's one step further more on than I'm comfortable running, I guess. And I always say Sangri Guard are our most damaging unit, so I always like to have Sangri Guard. I just think, there's nothing to say, but they are our most damaging unit. So if you're not including them, you're putting yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage. So we'll score your list, but I think if this was me, I would definitely switch out the Blade Guard veterans and the Cyclone missile launcher for a squad of Sangri Guard. And I might consider dropping. Well, I will. If I'm making a list for this tournament, and I actually own 3 Redemptors and 2 Contemptors and a Leviathan, so I guess I could go 6 Dreadnoughts if I want. But I think realistically, I'll probably go with 3 or 4. If you go this hard on Dreadnoughts, you don't leave yourself many points for the typical Blood Angels units, and the typical Blood Angels units usually always do work in battles, right? Like, they're always, the Sangri Guard always kill enemies, they always just chop them to bits. The Vanguard veterans with Lightning Claws, I guess, do the same, so it's like, these are the typical Blood Angels units that we know perform very well. It's good to have them backed up with the Dreadnoughts, but I think it's difficult. And the one thing that I want to say about running 3 Redemptors, because I've tried 3 Redemptors, Redemptors have giant bases. Like, I've got some right here. So, like, here's the Redemptor base, and then here is a Volkite Contemptor base next to it, right? Like, the Redemptor's base is literally twice the size. So when I was running Redemptors, I mean, like, it's I don't know how well you can see it in the bottom corner of my screen, but trust me, it's maybe that would be the way to show you. Like this. It's like another, like, what is that? I should measure that. I feel like it was at least, that's like 2 inches more, the base. I will check. My tape measure is right behind me. Alright, no, so, sorry. It's like 2.5 centimeters. 2.25 centimeters, I guess. Let me actually just measure across the base, both the bases. So the Redemptor's base is, you can probably actually get this information off Wikipedia, but the Redemptor's base is 9 centimeters in diameter, and this other guy's base, the Volkite, is 6.5. So yeah, 2.5 centimeters difference. And if you're on a map with a lot of terrain, that can make it very difficult, right? Like, I really struggled. When I ran 3 Redemptors, I got boxed up in my own deployment zone with the one Redemptor in the front getting profiled, and then the rest of them couldn't really get out, and it was an absolute nightmare. So I I never tried 3 Redemptors again. I think if I, when I did that, I thought to myself, like, I'll try 3 Redemptors again, like, they need to be spread out. But here's the problem. The Redemptors are really strong with Psychic Fortress, right? So you're going to want the Redemptors around the Librarian to get Psychic Fortress, because that's how they become strong. Redemptors without an invulnerable save are actually kind of weak. They can get picked off really quickly, especially against Drukhari or something with Dark Lances hitting you on -4 and D3 plus 3 damage, and you get no save. It's pretty rough. So what makes Redemptors really strong is Psychic Fortress. So by that means, it also feels like you have to have all 3 Redemptors around the Librarian, and at that point, you can get boxed up, like I definitely felt happened to me in one of the games. So it's just all advice, I guess, Lord. But I guess I think you should get the fast-moving Sangri Guard in there anyway for the changes that we said, and then maybe get rid of Redemptor Dreadnought. Does Wikipedia actually tell you? Like, it usually puts the base size here, right? So Redemptor Dreadnought is... I actually want to compare it to the Leviathan, because I think the Leviathan has a smaller base as well. The Leviathan's on an 80, the Contemptor's on a 60, the Redemptor's on a 90. Yeah, so the Leviathan Dreadnought has a smaller base size than the Redemptor as well. So yeah, the Redemptor's base can make it a little bit difficult to play. And yeah, I mean, I guess some people are saying that as well. If you castle too much with too many dreads, you lose out. And I definitely felt that when I ran 3 Redemptors, and after I did that, I went back to my 2 Redemptor and a couple of attack bike list, and I generally just did much better. So maybe some Assault Terminators instead of Blade Guard Veterans in that list. Similar unit, but can deep strike 4 with claws, and some Thunder Hammers with Sergeant. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer the Assault Terminators over the Blade Guard in this list as well. Just because you've already got that big sort of core that's not... that's not mobile, I guess. Alright, let me do some scoring. If you stick around to the end of today's stream, Lord, or if you don't, and you can watch it on the replay, I need to make my list for this tournament this week, and I need to battle Andrew and his orcs tomorrow. That's what I'm fighting on the channel. So at the end of the stream, I'll maybe quickly... I think I already have like a slight list, which uses similar characters, which uses similar squads. And I think I was going to actually build a video on that, but I suppose we could talk about it a little bit at the end of the stream as well. So, okay, let me think about like objective holding on this list. You do have 3 units of troops and 2 are OBSEC. 3 are OBSEC, sorry. 2 are Phobos units. So I think it's like an 8.5. Anti-Horde, this list actually has a lot of anti-Horde firepower, like a crazy amount. Like it's probably got some of the most that we would see with Inceptors, the Relic Contemptors, 3 Redemptors, a Leviathan. I mean, I really actually want to say Anti-Horde is like 9.5. This list is probably some of the strongest firepower we've seen from a Blood Angels list that can kill a lot of Horde. Anti-Vehicle and Monster is certainly not bad. I guess in terms of like 3 damage weapons, you've got the Cyclone missile launcher, you've got the 3 macros, sorry. The Gravflux, the Thunderhammer, the Infernal Pistol, the Force Sword, the Mastercrafted Bolt, Mastercrafted Forge Bolter. You've got Fists on 4 more Dreadnoughts, so you've got like you've got a lot of anti-armor here. So I think anti-monster armor is probably like a 9. If you did swap out the Blade Guard for the Sangri Guard, I'd be tempted to give you a 9.5. I just think the Blade Guard are kind of intrinsically slow, and everything else is already slow, so like I think that this just doesn't synergize as well as it could. Mobility wise, I guess 5 Dreadnoughts all being immobile along with Blade Guard Veterans they're not immobile, I guess, but mobility is lower. I guess it's like a 6.5, maybe even a 6. And then specialization, let me just put my math formula in here, which is a total of all the columns. I accidentally deleted it. Specialization, I guess, right? You do not have the ability to make the enemies fight last. You do have a couple of denies. You do have plenty of units for actions. You do have 3 damage weapons, a good amount, like 12 of them, and you do have 7 CP. So specialization normally against the scoring category would be like a 9, but I think that we probably want to take off like another point, maybe a 1.5 points. I'll say a point because I'm feeling generous, but we want to take off another point because I think that if you want to run this many dreads, there's maybe other chapters that are better than us at it. Probably Iron Hands just instantly shout out to me because all their dreads would get a 6-up shrug. And I do think dreads are very good, and I do think they can be used very good in Blood Angels lists, but I don't think I would run more than 4. I don't care what combination you want to run, right? Like run the Leviathan, 2 Redemptors, and a Relic Contempter. I really don't care what combination you run. I just don't think I would ever run more than 4. Andrew's been asking me for advice on his orc list to go to this tournament. You know how he was running like the 9 Rucka trucks and the 9 mecha jets, scrap jets, and it was just both. His list was basically 3 squads of Rucka trucks. Each squad is 3 Rucka trucks and 3 squads of just scrap jets and 3 scrap jets in each. And I was saying to him, I don't like your list, Andrew, because you're one-dimensional, right? Like, you have one unit that does this, and you have one unit that does that, and that's it. You can't react to anything else other players are doing. If you run up into a list, for example, where everything's above, like, let's say T5, you've got huge problems, because half your firepower is T5, and it can only do an individual sort of thing, or it can only be good in one situation. So I was saying to Andrew, I was like, I much prefer lists that have the ability to do multiple things. So that's where I kind of want to rate this down. And I don't think it's bad. I think with five dreadnoughts, you probably do a lot of damage. Aren't a lot of the orc list taking Balmas? They're also taking the Daka jets as well now, Thomas. Because the Daka jets get a stupid amount of firepower at strength 6 -2 or something. They get like yeah, I mean, well, that's what I was saying to Andrew. I don't like his list because he's just got 2 unit types, and in some ways I guess I don't like this because there's just too many dreadnoughts. And I don't think it's bad, and I think you probably managed to do a lot of shooting. This list probably actually does a lot of work. It probably kills a lot of enemies. And you never know, you could take... I've run lists that I didn't think were strong at a tournament and done really, really well. So you could take this. I mean, these are definitely strong models right now. Redemptors are very strong. Contemptors are very strong. Leviathans, they're all strong choices. Just, I guess, the same thing in chat. People are saying that you force yourself into that castle situation, and you're not going to win every game when you castle, because sometimes your castle is in the wrong part of the board and you can't get over and you can't react and you can't get to objectives and stuff like that. So that's why I like to try and do a bit of like a balanced list, and I guess that's why I always like to shoot at enemies and stuff as well, right? So it's like we're always trying to do a balanced approach to the battle. So I will do a video on the list that I'm doing to the tournament coming up pretty soon, and it's the starting part, like the characters and the troop choices are super similar. So it's only when we get into elites and fast attacks that it's different. And I'm going to hum and haw over that in the next week or so. So, yeah, stick around. That video will be coming. I hope this score gives you some food for thought. But at least one jump unit And I don't know if I can class the Inceptors as a jump unit. Like, the Inceptors are more of a scoring unit for me. When I talk about a jump unit, I talk about a unit that's going to, like, jump in and kill things. For me, in my list, the Inceptors, sometimes they kill things, sure, but they're never going to be, like, devastating on a charge. Like, Sangri Guard sometimes are just devastating on a charge. You know, if sometimes you make a charge with 7 Sangri Guard, you cast Hammer of Wrath and do, like, 4 mortal wounds when they charge in, and then you do 30 odd attacks, and you hit on 2s, you reroll 1s, you wound on, like, 3s or 4s, and you make the enemy make, like, 25 saves, and it's absolutely devastating. Whereas, like, you never get that from your Inceptors, right? Your Inceptors will do some chip damage, and they may do a few wounds here and there, but, like, a couple of units that can just be devastating on the charge, I think is kind of... I mean, in some ways that's why some people play Blood Angels as like 3 squads of Sangri Guard, Death Company, and big 10-man squads of Vanguard veterans, right? They are leading on that strength of the giant charge. Okay, let's get into list number 2 then, and you're very welcome. Hopefully the feedback gives you some food for thought, and, you know, make some... I kind of always want to say to people, play their list once, play your list, and then come back to me. You know, like, try it, think of everything I said, come back and watch the video again if you want. It's on YouTube, it'll be there forever now, and then make the changes after you've played one game with my comments in your mind. You know, like, I think something you have to do in Warhammer is, like, you have to play games, right? You just have to play the games, and you have to see how things go and then take it from there. Alright, let's move into Steel Rain's list, and thanks again for being in the chat today, Steel Rain. It's always, like I said, it's always good to have the people's lists in the chat so we can ask them questions. Hey Commander, this is a modified version of Jack Harpster's list to include 2 Contemptors and a little of my own flavour as less CP since it's not a battalion, but it can't be helped. Okay, so it's a strike force, 4 CP, patrol detachment, Primaris Chaplain on a bike, who is the Warlord with Master of Sanctity and Gift of Foresight and Artificer of War? What the hell is Artificer of War? I have no idea what this is. Yeah, I have Artificer of War? You're going to have to explain this one to me, Steel Rain, because I don't know what that is. Armor Indomitus, Adamantium Mantle, Litany of Faith, and Mantra of Strength. Oh, it's the Warlord trait that lets you take the mantle. It's called Artisan of War. Okay, yeah. Okay, you just changed the name of it a little bit to confuse the hell out of me. Cool. Thank you. Right, so this is the Warlord Jack Harpster uses, and basically you have a Primaris Chaplain on a bike who has 5 wounds. Sorry, not 5 wounds. Does he hell have 5 wounds? He has 5 toughness. Primaris Chaplain on a bike. He has toughness 5, and he has 8 wounds now, and you've given him a 2-up save. He's got his 4-up invuln. He's got the ability to turn on a 3-up invuln once per game. He's also got the ability to reroll wounds. Sorry, reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, 1 save each turn. He has a 5-up invuln. He has a 5-up shrug. I'm going to say everything incorrectly at the moment. He also has the ability to turn on the bubble of 5-up invulnerable saves for... No, 5-up. Wow. The bubble for 5-up feel no pains against mortal wounds within 6 inches, and also a Mantra of Strength, but he isn't the Wise Orator, so he is only casting his litanies on a 3, so that is the one minor downside of this character. But overall, I think he's still a very, very strong character. He's super survivable, and you'll notice that he doesn't have Benediction of Fury, and we often see people take this chaplain with Benediction of Fury. I prefer this build, Steel Rain, because I think this guy is still good, right? He can still be strength 7 on his weapon. He can still be minus 2 AP, and his weapon can still do 3 damage. But he is so hard to kill. And, like, in an edition where it's all about scoring primaries, and sometimes having a unit alive on a primary can win you or lose you the game, then I think I much prefer this guy done like this. He's an Angel Sacrifice tank. Yes, you can Angel Sacrifice on this guy and fully expect him to live through it. And you can maybe even do that twice a game. The first time, 100% you'll live through it because you can turn on your 3+ invulnerable. The second time, maybe he lives through it, but at that point his job is probably already done. And we have Commander Dante, and Dante is not run as the Warlord here. And I think that's a key thing to point out, in that, like, Dante often dies. When he dies, he has the ability to fight on death from his heroic deed. It's called Epic Deed of the Imperium. Once per battle, if his model is selected to use an epic deed, that stratagem costs 0 points. So you can always fight on death with this Dante, and fighting on death, you're likely to have 8 attacks. You're on his strength 7 weapon with -3 2 damage, the Axe Mortalis. I really think the Axe Mortalis should be 3 damage, but whatever. So you're using Dante as another possible angel sacrifice, right? In that, like, you can angel sacrifice on Dante. Dante isn't the strongest character. He's probably going to die, but if he dies, he's going to get a fight anyway. And he's probably going to protect like a whole squad of Sangri Guard when he dies or something like that. So it's a very valuable trade to make, right? So 2 HQ in this attachment. Then we have the squad of Intercessors. Intercessors. Just 5 Intercessors. I'd have preferred it if they were Intercessors, but Intercessors are fine. We then have a Vanguard Veteran Squad, and it is basically a 10-man. Thunderhammer, Infernal Pistol on the Sergeant, Lightning Claw and Storm Shields on all the rest. We then have I was going to say, I don't think 301 points is right for this, though. I think you need to double check the points. I think Vanguard Veterans, I think you're 300 points for 10 with Lightning Claw and Storm Shields, and I think the Thunderhammer costs 9 points more, so maybe we want to just double check the cost on the Vanguard Veteran Squad of 301. I feel like the extra 25 points for knowing 1 extra litany via Master of Sanctity is expensive, so I always end up just taking Wiserator as well to justify Master of Sanctity. I guess it's expensive, Jamie, but there is something to be said about just having your characters really survivable. It's 309. Yeah, I thought it was maybe just a little bit more expensive, so might need to just double check this. Thanks, Lord. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, texting. Is it 301? Is it 309? I think it's going to be 309. I think you're right. And then we have a fast attack squad of bolters. We then have our chief apothecary with a jump pack with Hero of the Chapter and Selfless Healer. And we also have a Sangri Ancient with the Wrath of Baal, so all our jump moving units are moving 14 inches. And then we have 7 Sangri Guard, Swords and Axes, 6 Sangri Guard, Swords and Axes, another 6 Sangri Guard, Swords and Axes, and then 2 Relic Contemptors with the Volkite Coverings. Yeah, that's no problem. If the points are slightly ever so, you can always drop a Storm Shield or somewhere here and there to get your points back that you need. Okay, so the Sangri Ancient brings value to this list because I guess you've got 19 Sangri Guard and 10 Vanguard Veterans, and arguably in the Inceptors as well. I mean, they'll benefit from the Wrath of Baal, and do you know what? I've not run Wrath of Baal in like 6 months. I assume it's for everybody. It's not just like core in character, right? Blood Angel's jump pack unit. Okay, so anything with a jump pack gets the two additional inches of movement. Right. So, I wonder if there's place to put Icon of the Angel in here, actually. Did Jack have Icon of the Angel in his list, Steel Rain? I don't remember. But I feel like Icon of the Angel might be pretty valuable to get like a reroll charge bubble. I don't know who can carry it for you, though. Like, oh, the Sangri Priests could carry it, I guess. I think I dropped the Thunderhammer, an Infernal Pistol, on the Vanguard Vets. Yeah, that would be fine. Rite of Ancients on the... Yeah, okay, so you could take Rites of War and the Sangri Ancient to make everyone around him obsec, or you could take Icon of the Angel. I think both of those choices are good. You wanted them both, but you didn't want to go down to 3 CP. Okay. I mean, I guess there's a problem with the Vanguard list, isn't it? And in some ways, that's kind of why, if you go the Patrol and Vanguard list, it makes it very hard to take those Forge World units, because they also have the CP cost on them as well, you know? That was the problem. That's why I started looking at Battalion again, because it's hard to make that work, I guess. Okay. So, 1 squad of Intercessors are our only troop choice. You have 19 Sangri Guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Would there be any way... I was going to say, is there any way to put the Sangri Guard into a squad of 9 and a squad of 10 and then make a battalion? But I guess if you did the battalion, you need to find another 100 and some points to spend on troop choices, I guess. So, I guess probably not. It's just so annoying that you literally just have one elite choice in this patrol detachment, so you're just like one elite over the limit. I believe Jack gave the Priest Teeth of Terror. Yeah, I think that was right. Jack gave the Priest Teeth of Terror, but Icon of the Angel I think is very good as well. I think the argument is with Wrath, maybe you don't need the charge reroll. I mean, I don't take anything that gives charge reroll, but it is always handy, especially if you're going all in on charges. And I guess this list kind of goes, it doesn't go all in, but you've got, what is this, 600, 700, 1,000 points plus Dante in the primary. You've gone like 1,300 points on making charges. Teeth of Terror does make the priest kind of scary. But okay. It's no secret that I don't like Jack's list because it's all melee combat, and on the wrong map or on the wrong day or on a map with light terrain, you're going to really struggle, I guess. So there's no secret that I'm not a big fan of his list. So I prefer this straight away, that you've got those Relic Contemptors in there. I mean, the Relic Contemptors are good for like 10 mortal wounds every turn. 4 CP to begin with is a little bit rough, but there's no way to start with more CP. The only way you could start with more CP, I guess, is if you got rid of the Sangri Priest, but I was going to say she. I don't know why I've decided the Sangri Priest is female, but I guess it's because he wears robes. The Sangri Priest is kind of a core part of the jump. The jump strategy, because you'll get that Assault Doctor in earlier, and you can keep the units alive, and you get a shrug. You could make Dante the Warlord, I guess, but yeah, you're right, that has its own issues. I think I prefer you having the really tanky key chaplain on a bike Warlord. The Volkite Caverns are almost too good to not include, aren't they? Or the Volkite Dreadnoughts in general. Well, let's do some scoring. I think the only thing that this list falls down on is lack of CP, right? I mean, everything else seems good. I always talk about if you're running Dreadnoughts to run like 2 of them, because if you've just got 1, the enemy can just pick on it. Whereas you've got 2, you're kind of good. You got so many Sangri Guard, and you know we said they're the most damaging units. We've got healers and priests to keep them alive. We also have the big Vanguard veterans with the storm shields. I mean, it's a better list, I think, than Jack's, in my opinion, or it's a more balanced list than Jack's. But balance doesn't always necessarily mean winning the game or yeah. But I think you always want some fire support. Like, I really do think it very, very importantly, and especially with Commander Dante, you know, like, in turn 1, you can almost guarantee that like most of those shots from the Relic Contemptors, and that's 32 shots, right? So like it's 32 shots. You can probably guarantee most of those are going to hit. If you can maybe like, if you can roll reasonably decent on your wound rolls, you're gonna make them take a bunch of saves and also dish out a bunch of mortals. It is very, very good. Phobos over than Intercessors. Yeah, I think Incursors would be a lot better here. Just because, like, these are the one unit you're going to be scoring stuff with, right? If you're ever going to take anything that requires you to perform actions, it's going to be that one unit of troops. But if you're not planning on taking secondaries that require you to score actions, then I guess Intercessors are better. And yeah, I mean, I like the Phobos redeploy. I think it's very, very powerful. Especially late in the game, just redeploying those Phobos troops is great. So I kind of rate it, but I guess it can be a bit situational. So OBSEC wise, then we just have the one troop unit, and it's not Phobos, so I think it's about 6.5. Anti-Horde infantry. I mean, Anti-Horde is fine in this list because you've got like 20 Angelus Bolters here, right? So that gives you 40 shots, and arguably they're going to be 2s hitting on 1s. You also have the 32 shots from the Relic Contemptors. So I actually think Anti-Horde, in terms of shooting strength, it's actually really good. Anti-Monster, 20 Sangri Guard, 10 Vanguard Veterans, the Contemptors, like Dante, not so much, but the other character, yeah. I mean, I think your anti-vehicle monster is high as well, like really high. You know, this is like 600 points of Sangri Guard, and they do so much damage. As long as you manage to keep them alive, then you do really well. I think mobility is probably like a 9.5 because you're super mobile. Because you've got the Wrath of Baal there, your jump units are as mobile as they possibly can be. And then specialization, so this is where the list will fall down a little bit, right? You don't have any way to make the enemy fight last. You don't have any denies. Units for actions is maybe kind of lower, but you're not going to maybe be doing too many actions. So maybe like a point off for the first two. Maybe nothing off for the units for actions if you're not going to be doing them. 3 damage weapons, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, probably just 4 with the Volkites, so probably include those. So maybe slightly low on 3 damage weapons, and then kind of low on CP as well, I guess. So maybe like, I was going to say a 7, but 7 feels generous. I feel loath to score it lower than the list that just came in with all the Dreadnoughts. So I think I'm going to score it. I'm going to score you the same. Heavy Angel Sacrifice makes up for Fight Last. Yeah, if you're playing at the highest level, I guess. And I guess I've never seen you play Steel Rain, but I assume you're playing at a pretty high level. So maybe the Angel Sacrifice makes up. I could say that. I still think it's probably about a 7. For me, the melee list is just not something that I've had success with in 9th edition. I've had success with all melee lists before, but just not so much in 9th. I think you often take some tacticals to shove points for something but it's mostly for battalions. You think it's a minimal game than shooting from the Incursors over the Phobos redeploy. You can do actions on the Sangri Guard early in the game, I guess. You're probably right. When you have that many Sangri Guard, they can do actions. So maybe 7.5 then. Like, I think I prefer it to the first list because it's a bit more. There's a bit more options that you can do with this list. The 4 CP is a little bit rough. The lack of Phobos, I guess it's not the end of the world, but I really do rate the Phobos higher, and I think something that's maybe underlooked at is Phobos can smokescreen. And if you really, really badly need your unit to survive on an objective, and it's going to swing the game if that unit survives, being able to smokescreen and transhuman Phobos. And I know it costs 2 CP, but I mean, I was in a rough place last week against the Tau. After that first turn, or when they basically killed my super heavy tank in like 2 turns, and we did use both smokescreen and transhuman on just troop choices that were holding objectives, and it kept me in the game. Without it, I lose that game, I think. I haven't run this since I don't have the Contemptors, but I've been running modified Harper list with a lot of very good results. Well, the Contemptors are brilliant, Steel Rain. I don't know. I've been painting I've painted 1 Contemptor. I've been painting the Contemptors, and I mean, last week, every single time I shot that Relic Contemptor, it did like 5 mortal wounds. It's just so, especially if you have a Tech Marine around, so you can make it hit on 2s, rerolling 1s. It's just so good. I would suggest testing with the Whirlwind instead of Inceptors. You have enough mobility to get all the way across the board for retrieve outdated data without caring about screening units. Says his hay. Yeah, I mean, the Inceptor, I forgot you have Inceptors in here. Yeah, so actually your scoring units is probably fine. Inceptors can score as well. So let me look at that again. You're going to Angel Sacrifice on the fight last. You don't have the denies, but you do have the units for actions, I guess. Maybe slightly down on the 3 damage weapons and CP. Yeah, a 7.5 seems about right. Maybe it could be an 8, but I don't remember what I actually scored Jack. Let me see what I scored Jack on his list. I gave him 46. But I said the same thing. No denies, no fight last, no cancel Overwatch as well. No removing vulnerable saves. Yeah, okay, yeah. If you've been having success with the list, then I guess you've been having success with the list. Who am I to argue with that? But I do think it leaves some holes there in the specialization. Cool. The lack of the CP is a problem for the Whirlwind as well. Yeah, the thing about taking the Whirlwind is the Whirlwind eats like 1 CP every turn. Yeah, Chris is right. If you smokescreen your incursors and then you transhuman them, you just totally mess up the opponents. You mess up a round of shooting, and then they can't shoot them. Well, they can shoot them with other things if they want, but it can totally scupper their plans, right? Like if they're planning on putting a lot of firepower into them, and then you just smokescreen them and transhuman them, it's like, yeah, and they're in cover. It's generally very good. Okay, so yeah, I think this list is slightly stronger. I think that the Contemptors are just greedy in terms of CP in this list. Like, would there be a list here where you didn't run Contemptors and you just ran Redemptors? You know, you'd need an extra 50 points. Is that something you could do and just run Redemptors? But yeah, it's just the CB cost on the Contemptors it's the big problem, isn't it? For me, it feels like it's just, I don't know. I've played games where I started with 4 CP and it feels pretty rough. I guess you can let us. Yeah, you need to find someone that's going to let you proxy these Relic Contemptors, and you try the list and you let us know what you think, because 4 CP can feel pretty rough. You know, like you have to interrupt in combat 1 time and you're almost out of CP. It can be rough. Okay, let's move on. Cameron J217 next, and I hope some of that feedback was useful, Steel Rain. Yeah, it's kind of. I think one thing to say about those lists are, do they also rely a little bit more on the terrain than like a balanced list? And I guess that's maybe why you put in the Contemptors, right? Because if you add 2 Contemptors to Jack Harpster's list, you fix the problem where, like, if the enemy can see you, then your Contemptors can see the enemy, and you can do 10 mortal wounds, and you can wipe out a squad or something. Like, Relic Contemptors are overrated? I wouldn't say they are. I'd say that they are undercosted. I mean, they're not amazing, but they're definitely a little bit cheaper than they should be. But I mean, they do have a 1 CP tax on them, so maybe that's why they are a little bit cheaper. It's hard to say. It is good to have some firepower backing up your Blood Angels, though. Like, some solid, good firepower will help you win games a lot of the time, I feel like. Okay. Hey John, I'm submitting a list here for the show. Love the channel. The list reviews and tactics videos have been super helpful. I live in Australia, so I doubt we'll make the live stream, so just a couple of notes on things in the list. The 10-man Sangri Guard, plan to keep them in reserve, drop them in turn 2 somewhere protected, and alongside the rest of the army that moved up in turn 1, running 10, as my 8-man has been easily wiped too many times by things like Skitari. Yeah, I mean, if your 8-man gets wiped too easily, your 10-man will get wiped easily as well. I mean, that's a problem with the Sangri Guard. They just don't survive very well. They're kind of weak. ATVs are for early point grabbing. Distraction and die is their lot in life. Redemptor is a new addition to this list. Added him as a way of getting reroll 1s to wound, give my opponent something else other than the attack bites to shoot at. Inceptors in reserve, plan to drop them in turn 2 near Dante and the Redemptor, most likely Descent of the Angels as well. Vanguard veterans run up the board either as 10-man or combat squad. Happy Halloween, says the end. Yeah, happy Halloween to you, brother. Hope you are having a good one, and hope you have a good night if you are doing anything. Keen to hear your thoughts, says Cameron. Okay, so there's a patrol detachment to begin with. We got Commander Dante, who is the Warlord, and I think he's a lower value pick for the Warlord, but I guess the one reason to make him the Warlord is you will get 1 CP back by having him as your Warlord. I think Commander Dante works better as an Angel Sacrifice type character, but I guess if you want to run him as your Warlord, that's okay. We then have a Librarian with Veil of Time, Might of Heroes, Null Zone, Psychic Fortress. Wow, so this guy is both the Chief Librarian and the Psychic Mastery, and he has a Tomb of Malkador. I don't know if you really want... I don't know if you really need to have 4 Psychic powers. I think I would choose 3 and save 1 command point here. Yeah... Mighty Heroes and Veil of Time, I think you know what your list is going to bring, right? Like, if you have a list that brings a lot of Dreadnoughts, you're going to get more value out of Mighty Heroes. If you have a list that's going to make a lot of charges, you're going to get more value out of Veil of Time. I think pick one of those 2. Null Zone and Psychic Fortress are kind of the default you kind of a need to take, I would think. Relic Contemptors with Volkite are going to get nerfed. The internet will overflow with deliciously salty QQ, and I will laugh my ass off. Yes, I mean... I think you're right. I think the Volkites will go up like 10 points per arm, maybe, because at the moment they're just too good. We then have 1 squad of Assault Intercessors, and this one has a 10-man Sangri Guard, all just swords and axes mixed, no special weapons, anything. I always like an Infernal Pistol in the Sangri Guard. I feel like they're always in close range of enemy models. They are always near my Chapter Master, so it usually means they're always hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. So I think an Infernal Pistol always provides value. We then have a Vanguard Veteran Squad, and this is a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10-man Vanguard Veteran Squad. And I think the point... Is this 10? 2, 4, 6... 8, 10. I think he's got the point. Oh, unless they don't have jump packs. Wow. So is this a 10-man Vanguard Veteran Squad without jump packs? I don't know if that's a typo. I rarely get value out of Veil of Time, says Left-Handed Texan. Yeah, I stopped picking Veil of Time and started taking Might of Heroes. You know, my Chapter Master, and I guess in a bunch of different places, if you've taken the Primaris Chaplain on a bike, or you've taken the Chapter Master on the bike, and you've given them like Armor and Indomitus, they're Toughness 5, so with Mighty Heroes you can boost them to Toughness 6. It kind it can make a big difference on their survivability if you can just boost them up to toughness 6 for a turn through Might of Heroes. But I think if you... I mean, Veil of Time is just a way of saving you CP that you would spend on charge rerolls, right? So in that sense, it could save you 5 CP over the course of the game, but that's the way it goes. No jump packs, says Ares Mathia. Okay, thank you, Ares. So Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields and Thunder Hammers, but we have no jump packs here, which is kind of interesting. We then have our second detachment that is -5, and it's an Outrider detachment, so it's going to be more about fast attack, I guess. We have the Sangri Priest, Chief Apothecary, and Armor Indomitus. And I've talked at length about Armor Indomitus on the Priest. I don't really think you should have Armor Indomitus on this character. I think you're better giving him like Icon of the Angel for the charge rerolls, or Teeth of Terra to make him nasty in combat. Armor Indomitus is I guess Armor Indomitus is the play you do if like you end up in a bad situation. Armor Indomitus maybe helps you get out of one bad turn or one bad situation, but overall the priest should never be in harm's way, right? The only time, like when I was playing the Sangri Priest, I gave him the Teeth of Terror a couple of times, and he would hide behind big units of guys, he would hide in obscuring cover, and it would only be the end of the game, like turn 4 and 5, when I'd kind of like felt like the priest had already given me value. He might jump away and go and try and kill something with the Teeth of Terror because he gets like 8 attacks hitting on 2s, and it's like strength 5 with +1 to wound or something, you know. So like you would do that at the end of the game, but for the beginning of the game, he's Armor Indomitus is just like, oh shit, I put my priest in a bad situation. So we then have the Redemptor Dreadnought, and he's got the Frag, Storm, Macro Plasma, and Onslaught, and I would take the Stormbolter. Stormbolter you can shoot in combat. The Redemptor is likely to get into combat at some point throughout the battle. Stormbolter also has longer range, and the Frag Storm, I mean, the 2d6 shots, it's probably not, you know, when the Redemptor gets to half range, the Stormbolter gets 8 shots anyway, so is it like, I think there's very few times you get more value out of the Frag Storm than the Stormbolters. We then have Attack Bikes with Multi-Meltas, a 3-man squad. We have Inceptors with Plasmas, a 5-man squad. We have an Invader ATV with a Multi-Melta, and we have another Invader ATV with Onslaught Cannon. Alright, pretty interesting. We don't often see multiple lists with multiple Invader ATVs, and I don't think they're bad. Don't think they're great either, but like I don't think they're bad. The one thing is Invader ATVs don't have the core rule, so if you play, as long as you know that and you play around it, then I think you're okay, right? This is like, I don't think this list is bad, but I think having one Redemptor, I would probably drop the Invader ATVs to have 2 Redemptors. I always feel like if you just have one Dreadnought, you end up losing that one Dreadnought, and like it doesn't bring that much value. I think if you want to run Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and don't get me wrong, Redemptor Dreadnoughts are great, and you also have your Librarian here who can give them Psychic Fortress, I would just run 2 Redemptors. And I think we did do a tier list on fast attack, right? Let me see if I can find it real quick. So this is my tier list account. Am I logged in? How do I log into this? Hold on. My account. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I was gonna say you guys can follow me using this link as well. If you want to see my tier, if you want to see any of the tier lists, I'll just throw them in chat right now as well. But if we look at Elite tier list and we look at Fast Attack tier list, Invader ATVs were put at the high end of the crap tier, and Redemptor Dreadnoughts were put at the high end of the A tier. I think the Forge World Dreadnoughts were put in... We can actually check that. I think the Forge World Dreadnoughts were put up in the S tier, those Volkite Relic Contemptors. No Flesh Tearers list, I'm disappointed. We haven't done a Flesh Tearers list. I don't know if we would... I was going to say... Did we forget to include Seth when we did HQ? Or did we include Seth? I'm not seeing him. Maybe we need to throw Seth on the to-do list for a tier. Interesting. Okay. Alright, we could probably make a Flesh Tearers list at some point. We haven't done that. I don't know why we haven't done that. We are doing more tier lists. We've got another one coming out like in the next week or so on the Grots Go Deep channel. So, alright. Dante Librarian, fine. Assault Intercessors, fine. I'd save 1 CP. You don't need 4 psychic powers. Pick 3 and go with that. I'd make this Assault Intercessors and Cursors because I think Cursors are better for performing actions. Your Sangri Guard, your 10-man Sangri Guard are still going to die. You said yourself that they got killed by Skitari when they dropped down. Against Andrew's list a few weeks back, I brought down my Sangri Guard next to my Chaplain with the +2 to charge rolls and the Icon of the Angel. They failed the charge and they got killed in no man's land. This is a thing that's happened. I don't think making the squad bigger helps stop that. I mean, I think they still die. So I think probably what I do is I just run the 8-man Sangri Guard and take some of those points and put them elsewhere. In this list, I'd probably invest those extra points in jump packs for your Vanguard veterans, right? Because it seems very strange that your Vanguard veterans don't have jump packs. You've got your Sangri Priest. I would probably change out his Relic. The Redemptor Dreadnought. I don't think one I like Redemptors. I think they work really well with Psychic Fortress. I think you want to have 2 Redemptors, though. So I think you would lose one Invader, or I think you'd lose both these Invader ATVs. And with the points we saved off the Sangri Guard and those jump packs, we can probably take the second Redemptor. The second 2 Redemptors and a Librarian gives you like a really nice solid centerpiece on the map. You know, 2 Redemptors wandering around shooting indiscriminately with that invulnerable save. I think it works really well. I was quite disappointed being Halloween. I was expecting you to be in a Dante costume. I do not have a costume. The only thing that I did have was this. I don't know. I can't do the show like this because I probably sound like muffled to all hell. But yeah, that is my costume for today. I guess I was not prepared for Halloween at all. What with painting late last night and trying, we just moved house. We're not organized. We still got suitcases full of clothes that my wife was unpacking earlier today. So I think I would run 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. The attack bikes. The attack bikes on paper look good with the Sangri Priest. In reality, a lot of people have figured out now. You sound like a real Marine when you put the mask on. Yeah, I sound like I'm in a Vox, don't I? A lot of people have figured out how to counter the Sangri Priest in terms of attack bikes. I still like attack bikes with multi-meltas. I still think they're good at 65 points. 60 points. I just think, like a few weeks ago I played against Dark Angels and I just 100% went after his attack bikes to kill the whole squad. I don't know what that means, Mick. Sorry. I just went after attack bikes, kill the whole squad, and then you get no value out of the priest. The Inceptors are good, Plasma Inceptors are good. So if this was me, I would, that's what I would do. So I'd have 2 Redemptors. I'd have, let's say, Teeth of Terra or Icon of the Angel on the priest. I'd have a couple less Sangri Guard. Do you know what? You said the Sangri Guard are going to join in turn 2. So if they're going to join the battlefield, they're going to need to make a charge. So I would 100% have Icon of the Angel and the Priest, so that the Sangri Guard can arrive within 6 inches of the Icon of the Angel and get the reroll in their charge, because like you said, if they get left out in the open, they will get killed. I'd get the jump packs onto the Vanguard Veterans. I'd replace the Assault Intercessors with a Phobos unit, so Incursors are only 10 points more. Infiltrators are fine too, but I think Incursors are probably the more... In the troop list, where did we put those two? Did I already close the tier thing? Damn it. On the troop list, we put Infiltrators in the S tier and Incursors in the A tier. That's fine. Right now I'd maybe swap them around. In my opinion, both are very good. Sorry, what is my missing here in the chat? Can a chaplain on a bike fit the AV role? What do you mean AV role? Sorry. You can put links into the chat if you want to, 100%. That's fine. We're pretty open on this channel. We're just, you know, or if you want to put it in the Discord or the Facebook group, that's fine as well. Good afternoon, Evan. How you doing? Yeah, so that's probably the changes I would make, and I think that makes the list quite a bit better. I was gonna say, is there anywhere you can... I'd maybe... You've got so many CP in this list. Like, I'd maybe... You get 7 CP. I was gonna say, I'd maybe take Quake Bolts on something. Do you know what? That's what I would do. I would drop the Tomb of Malkador, and I would take Quake Bolts on the Librarian. The Librarian has a bolt gun. Yep. So it's 24 inches for Quake Bolts. Yes, you're only going to hit on 3s, but it's probably okay for a couple of turns of getting the Quake Bolt bonus for like the Vanguard Veterans and the Sangri Guard, so they're guaranteed to basically always hit on 2s, regardless if the enemy's -1 to hit or anything like that. Cool. Google blocks links in this chat for anyone that isn't the streamer. Oh right, I didn't know that. Then I guess if you can... I didn't know Google blocked the links. I guess that makes sense though, because they don't want people spamming it. Yeah, but join the Discord. There's a link in the video description, and you can share any links that you want in their areas. That's absolutely fine. If you spam links every day though, we will have Mark or Tony or one of our other mods come around to your house and tell you don't spam links anymore. Redemptor Dreadnought is a unit. I am questioning how it can receive benefits from Psychic Fortress. Yes, because I don't know what's the wording on Psychic Fortress. At 100% can though. Let me spell Psychic. SYS. Psychic Fortress, because it's a friendly chapter unit. Yes, Psychic Fortress is manifested while a friendly chapter unit is within 6. Basically everything is the unit. So when you talk about like if you talk about like a squad of troops, like 5 guys, that would be a unit of troops. If you talk about a dreadnought, that would be a unit. The dreadnought on its own would be a single unit. Yeah, so friendly chapter means anything with the Blood Angels keyword in this sense would have the ability to be protected by the Psychic Fortress. Okay, so Cameron's list. Let me go back to scoring Cameron's list then. I don't think it's bad. I feel like Cameron's probably an intermediate player. Like, it seems very strange not to take jump packs on the Vanguard Veterans. But beyond that, everything else looks reasonably decent. He did say the Redemptor was new, so he probably just doesn't have a lot of experience running Redemptors, and I really think you need to have 2 Redemptors. The reason I really think you need to have 2 is because your main cannon is D6 shots. So if you fluff the roll and you get a 1 on your main cannon, you have a bad shooting phase. Whereas if you have 2 Redemptors, you're much less likely to roll double 1s. Yes, it does happen. Sure, it does happen. But you sort of edge your bets, I guess, by having like redundancy in the fact that if you do roll bad on one Dreadnought, you hope to get a decent roll on the other Dreadnought, right? So I think that's why I really recommend 2 Redemptors. And Invader ATVs, I don't dislike them, but I just think that the points that they bring, you'd be better with a Redemptor Dreadnought. A Redemptor Dreadnought fits Blood Angels more than the ATVs in that, like, you also have really strong melee on the Redemptor, and you also have the core keyword, so you can get some rerolls in there. And yeah, I just think the Redemptor is a lot more durable than those Invader ATVs. Invader ATVs are toughness 5, 8 wounds. Redemptor's toughness 7, 13 wounds, but then -1 to all damage. And once the -1 to all damage kicks in with a Psychic Fortress, they're very good. Whoever wrote the Blood Angels Codex this time round, Ares, in all honesty, was pretty lazy, because they just copied the Blood Angels Codex from 8th edition, while all the other armies were getting loads of improvements. Blood Angels basically got the exact same Codex again. So, minus some keywords, like some of our Dreadnoughts moved shorter, like our Dreadnoughts used to move 8, they now move 6, and they lost, like, they never had the core keywords before, but they never gave them any of them. So there's some problems. All right, so let's do a little bit of scoring on this list. We just have one troop choice, and it isn't Phobos, so it's only going to be a 6.5. Anti-horde wise, then we have Invader ATVs. I guess one with Gatling Cannon. We have Inceptors, I guess, with Plasmas that can be good against Hordes. We have Multi-Meltas. We have Dreadnought. We have 10 Sangri Guard with the Bolters. So we have a decent amount of shooting against Horde. I'd say it's about an 8. Anti-Vehicle Monster. And how many 3 damage weapons do we have in this list? So we've got a Multi-Melta. We have another 4 Multi-Meltas. We have the Macroplasma and the Fist. That gives us 6. We have 3 Thunderhammers, so that gives us 9. We have Dante's Infernal Pistol, that gives us 10. We have a 4 Sword, so we have about 11 3 damage weapons. So it's just enough, I guess. The 10 Sangri Guard, the 10 Vanguard Veterans, the Invaders, ATVs, the Attack Bikes, the Inceptors, the Redemptors. We have a lot of potential monster killing here. I'd say it's like a 9.5. It might struggle a little bit against like Death Guard or Dreadnoughts that are -1, but -1 to damage, but overall it's decent. Mobility is pretty decent as well because we've got a lot of bikes there. We aren't going to be obsecking much with these units, but overall the list actually has really high mobility. The Dreadnought's not mobile. The Assault Intercessors not mobile, but everything else is like a bike or a jump unit, so really high mobility in the list, just slightly less than, I guess, Steel Rain's list. And then Specialization, right? So we don't have the ability to fight last. We do have 2 denies. We don't really have units for actions, so probably a point off there. We just have enough 3 damage weapons, and we do have a decent amount of CP in at 7, so I think it's an 8. So this is actually like not a bad scoring list. I don't think it's the strongest list I've ever seen. It scores pretty well, but it's hard to say, right? Like, I feel like the Redemptors are the more reliable pick over Invader ATVs. And yeah, I think with a few small changes as well, this could be quite a bit stronger. The Blood Angels Codex is an odd one. It feels underpowered to anyone looking at it casually, but honestly, there are some strong combos in there, just also very simple combos. Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. Like, I don't struggle to win games with Blood Angels. I know I haven't played too many games against some of the strongest stuff, but like, I think in general, Blood Angels can win games. But I think you need to be using the right units, and this list uses a good number of the right units. Inceptors are top tier, Attack Bikes are top tier, Redemptors, the Sangri Priests, the Vanguard Veterans, with jump packs of course, the Sangri Guard, Assault Intercessors maybe not too much, and me personally, I am the hugest fan of Dante. Where did we put Dante in the tier list, by the way? Blood Angels HQ, where did Dante actually end? Top of A? Okay. Dante ended above the Chapter Master on the bike. Wow. Dante, in my opinion, is... I must have let Tony and Mark influence me too much on this, because the Chapter Master on the bike, in my opinion, is there. He's the best character you can run for Blood Angels. But it's just my opinion. Okay. 41 then. So, do you know what? We get Steel Rain just top today by the slidge of half a point so far. Hashtag Chapter Master on 1 wound. Yeah, he always is. Redemptors are way better than ATVs. Jasper says, I think Dreadnought heavy lists benefit more from successor chapters. Whirlwind of Rage is good. Red Thirst is not so good in Dreads. Also, it takes stealthy. Everything gets +1 armor save. Dreadnought's 2+. Yeah. Red Thirst isn't the greatest on Dreads, but it does mean when you come up against enemy armor, you still wound them on 2s. You know, so you come up against like toughness 8 enemy armor, or you like Mortarion, for example, and it's just like, yeah, I wound you on 2s. You know, so I don't, think I dislike the Red Thirst on Dreadnoughts. I think it's okay. The problem is simple. A lot of Blood Angels players want to be bloodthirsty melee monsters and kill everything. However, that just doesn't win games these days. Missions have moved on. Yeah, that's probably a fair thing to say. I think the Bike Chaplain plus the Dante combo is better, as you're not throwing your rerolls into die. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's a tough one. I think both the Chapter Master, and I suppose you don't have to run him as a Chapter Master, right? You could just run him as a Captain. But I generally like Chapter Master rerolls. I think you can get a lot of value out of them. Okay, let's move on to list number 4 for today. And this is by Nell Giroux. And okay, he's written me a story. Hey Nell, would be happy if you could review my double psyker list so I feel more comfortable joining a tourney in the next few days. Alright, in the next few days, well then that definitely didn't happen because this list was submitted on the 28th of August, or the 25th of August. Yeah, there is quite a long queue for non-members to get their lists reviewed, about 8 weeks. The member queue is like 2 or 3 weeks. The goal is not winning all the time, but learning and giving my opponent a good but hard time. The idea, jump pack troops, deleting the enemy, getting primary objectives with support of characters. I'm not so into bikes. Angels are supported by Chief Librarian, either null zone to kill things or fortress to protect and focus down bigger things. Vanguard are supported by Captain to make sure they get more hits, though can take and sit on an objective with rights of war or kill hordes. Vanguard could also be used for deep striking or collecting data. Adding a forward moving Librarian Dread, I want to go Relentless Assault or engage on all fronts. Also 2 Psychers might help a lot against Grey Knight Thousand Suns meta. The Priest could either support the Angels or the Blade Guard, or the Vanguards with healing and resurrects. Mid backfield is secured by Blade Guard. Might try to add a 5th here, not sure how, and the Redemptors, which could go for Oath. Everything is supported by a Whirlwind to get additional fight first if needed, or remove small units. I also added a small troop choice for collecting data or just standing around. Thank you for reviewing. What do you think? Could I save, exchange some points? Does it actually make sense to have so many characters? What about double psychers? Any experience to share? Instead of the Captain or Priest, I could add another Blade Guard, Angel, or X. Would it make sense to add Quake Bolts to a Blade Guard Sergeant to get some extra boom on the Redemptors? Alright, a lot to get through here. Excuse me. Alright, Patrol Detachment. We're on 10 CP and we got one extra relic here. Captain on a bike. No, sorry, not on a bike. Captain. So used to him being on a bike. With a chainsword and a bolt pistol. I guess this is probably wrong in that, like, he has an infernal pistol or a bolt pistol. So Captain with an infernal pistol, jump pack, Rites of War, and he has the Teeth of Terra. Okay. Infernal pistol and Teeth of Terra. Librarian, Veil of Time, Null Zone, Soul Warden, Psychic Fortress, Bolt Gun, Force Sword, jump pack, Tomb of Malkador as well. He's got him as 140 points. Hold on, though. If he's 140 points, he's got the Chief Librarian upgrade. He only costs 115 without it. So he's actually missing a psychic power here. Yeah, I think he's missing a psychic power. Or he doesn't need it, and he's just running him as a regular librarian. Sever of Threads is greater than the Teeth of Terror. Yeah, I mean, if your Flesh Tears is, would be interesting to know how it worked at the tournament. How what worked at a tournament? Sorry, Arc Royal. Like to see how the list worked afterwards. Well, I mean, I'll post in the Facebook group in the Discord, and maybe Nell will reply. Alright, we've got one Intercessor squad, and that's okay. I prefer Incursors, I prefer Phobos troops. I literally just bought Phobos troops this morning, so I will have 5 squads of them. I think that they're just better in terms of surviving and performing actions and stuff like that. We then have 2 Redemptors, and I've said before, Stormbolters are the better choice here, but 2 Redemptors is fine. They generally do a lot of work. We then have a Vanguard detachment who has the Librarian Dreadnought, Quickening in Wings, and a Meltagun. I think this is probably the right choice. Iron Resolve to give the Librarian Dreadnought 9 wounds and a 6-up shrug. It's okay. I think it's the best choice to take on Librarian Dreadnought. And then the Sangri Priests, notably without the Selfless Healer Warlord trait. So if you want to do any revives with this healer, we're going to have to pay 1 CP. We have 4 Blade Guard veterans. We have 7 Sangri Guard with axes and swords. Another 7 with axes and swords. Vanguard vets, 5 with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields, another 5 with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields, and then the Whirlwind. Okay. Double Librarian is okay. I guess the problem with double Librarian is, and the problem with any Librarian is reliability, right? And this is a video I did last week about how if you want Librarians to be reliable, you need to give them Psychic Mastery, and he hasn't done that on either of the Librarians, so neither of those Librarians are going to be super reliable. If you're going to a tournament, you want your stuff to be reliable. You lose games when things aren't reliable, because you can't plan ahead and know what's going to happen. So Psychic Mastery for me is an absolute must if you want to run a Librarian. Because of that, I'd probably be tempted to just run 1 Librarian. I do understand the Librarian Dreadnought with another Librarian as well can be pretty cool. And in that case, you know, what's actually really good is if you did Might of Heroes on that first Librarian, you can make that Librarian Dreadnought T6, which is also pretty good, right? I'm backpiled on Intercessors at the moment, thinking I have so many regular Intercessors as well. Like, I have a whole drawer of Intercessors. I think it doesn't matter, you just need to have Incursors. They're better. They're 5 points, they're better. The Stormbolters, you're always going to end up in combat with your Redemptors, meaning when you get in combat, you're not going to be able to shoot your frag storms. So in that case, you're going to get 8 shots guaranteed because you're going to be in half range with a Stormbolter. So Stormbolters are always going to be better in my opinion. For the Redemptors, 4 characters makes picking Assassinate against you fairly easy for the enemy. If you have 3, it's much more difficult because they will only ever get 10 points. So that's worth thinking about. The 4 units of jump pack stuff is fine, backed up by the Whirlwind. the Redemptors. So it's... I probably ran like a super similar list to this on the channel, maybe like, let's say, 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I was running basically the same 4 characters. Fair enough, my captain was on a bike because I prefer the ones on bikes, but the same 4 characters. The 2 Redemptors. I think I had Blade Guard veterans and Centurions. Then a lot of Vanguard veterans and a lot of Sangri Guard. Could you compare the cost-benefit analysis of the most basic troops again? You mean in terms of like their damage output and stuff, Reziel, or what exactly are you asking? Because yeah, I mean, I can make a video on whatever. Bolt rifles or autos can give you good shooting for OBSEC for low points. Regular bolt rifles are -2 AP in Tactical Doctrine and underrated. Yeah, I mean, it's lack of shots that's the issue though, right, Steel Rain? Regular bolt rifles are 30 inches. In Tactical Doctrine, they're -2, but the problem is, like, no one ever going to stay in Tactical Doctrine more than one turn, because Assault Doctrine is so valuable to us. Yeah, I mean, we could compare that. I wouldn't have a problem doing it. Let me note that down, I guess. Alright, we will see if we can come up with something that's useful, that can justify which troop choices to take. Okay. Alright, yeah, so I ran a list like this 6 months ago, I think. And I don't think it's bad necessarily. Like, Vanguard veterans with lightning claws will do a lot of killing. Sangri Guard, you know, swords and axes will do a lot of killing. You've got Null Zone, you've got Psychic Fortress. Your Psychers aren't, neither Psycher is going to be super reliable, and that was one of the things that I ran into. What was the reason for ditching the Centurions from 6 months ago? Too expensive. I think I ditched the Centurions when I stopped running the Sangri Priest, and I think part of it was a lot of people have figured out how to fight against the Sangri Priest, right? In that, like, at the beginning, people would often leave like one Centurion alive, and I was like, great, I'll resurrect a Centurion. Centurions are 55 points per model. So resurrecting one of them is like super powerful, and healing another one is crazy powerful. But people just started realizing, like, if I fight against John, we have to if we're going to start shooting his attack bikes, we either need to kill all the attack bikes or none of them. And the same with the Centurions. And once people had figured that out, Centurions don't have invulnerable saves, and I fight against a lot of enemies that make like a lot of high AP stuff, like Death Guard, for example. Those flesh mowers have a ridiculous amount of attacks, and it's like -2 AP, 2 damage each, and also Andrew ran against them with tons of multi-maltus, so they're -4, so Centurions just only save on 6s, so people got wise on how to play against them. And the Sangri Priests 6-up shrug I don't think is ever reliable. I think a 5-up shrug is pretty good. I think a 6-up shrug is terrible. And I think the analogy of that is like, let's imagine you need to make 6 saves, right? And you need to make 6 saves on 6s. You're never going to do that. You're just never going to do that. You could play Warhammer every day for a year, and you will never save 6 times when on a 6-up save. It just won't happen. Whereas, like, if you needed to make 6 saves on a 5-up, could you do it? Like, how many games would you need to play to do it? And the answer is probably quite a lot of games, but it does happen, right? Like, I was in a game against Andrew, and he shot my Sangri Guard with the main cannon on the... What's that? What's the super heavy tank Andrew's got? It's the that Astreus, right? So he shot my Sangri Guard with the macro accelerator cannon. So it's, and he was Iron Hand, so he'd paid 1 CP to go into Heavy Doctrine or Devastator Doctrine. So this was going to be -3. So Heavy 12, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, and then I'm only saving on 5s. And like you know, 12 shots into me or something, and I had to take like 7 saves, and I passed like 6 of them on a 5-up. This game is actually on the channel, and that was a huge moment in that game, right? Because it was like I either lost the game because I just lost my whole Sangri Guard, or a bunch of them survived, and like, you know, that was the main cannon on that gun. That's like a 600-700 point tank, and I was just able to, 675 point tank, and I'm able to you know, like, he's had to declare all the weapons at that point, so nothing else is coming to the Sangri Guard because he's confident this cannon's going to delete the whole squad, and it killed like 1 guy. So I guess the point is, like, if you have Centurions and they're going to get hit with like multi-meltas and you're only going to save on 6s, having a 6-up shrug is not going to help you. It's not reliable enough, or it's just, I think that example happens, like, I've had other games where like my Librarian has been exposed and he had a 5-up save. I've needed to make 3 5-up saves against like multi-meltas, and I make all 3. You know, whereas like anytime you get asked to make 3 6-up saves, you can count on your hands the number of times you would do that. Like, it never fucking happens. Or maybe you're lucky, and sometimes, like, 1 in a million, you need to make 3 6-up saves, you make it. But, like, it's amazing how much difference that 1 dice number can actually make, I guess. So, yeah, I like the Centurions. They're a fun unit, but, like, they just don't work without a Psychic Fortress, and when everything got put up in costs and the last chapter approved, something had to give in my list, and it was the Centurions, I'm guessing. Alright, so we've got a big debate on what are best in troops. So we can definitely look at troops. Analogy is GW giving Death Company a 6-up feel no pain, then every codex after when giving units a 5-up feel no pain, and go figure. Yeah, I mean, Death Company are supposed to be the one guys in lore that just don't care. You know, they get their limbs ripped off and they just don't care. They're supposed to keep fighting. If you ask me, based on the current meta, Death Company should have a 4-up shrug, right? You're right, Chris. It is only 17% more. If you save on a 5 compared to a 6, you know, you're right, it is only 17% more. But I guess the question is, you know, use my example. Do you ever find yourself needing to make 4 5-up saves and you make them all, whereas you find yourself needing to make 4 6-up saves, you never make them. Like, it just never happens. So it's amazing how, that's what I'm trying to say, it's amazing how much dice, 1 point on the dice, can actually make such a huge difference. Alright, so yeah, I was running a list like this 6 months ago. 4 squads of guys, the Blade Guard veterans as well, the 2 Psychers. So the problems with this list are your Psychers aren't going to be reliable. Your Priest is in a bit of a strange spot in that he isn't the selfless healer, whereas it feels like you kind of want him to be with all these units which could benefit from reviving. The Whirlwind is good for the fight last, and overall it seems like a decent list. How many 3 damage weapons we got in this list though? We've got kind of a lack of them, like 2 on the Librarian Dreadnought, 2 in each of the Redemptors, that gives us 6. The Infernal Pistol on the Captain, so kind of just like 7 3 damage weapons. So that is one sort of slight point of concern to note. We also just have 1 squad of Intercessors, and personally I think that's kind of weaker. If you're only going to have 1 squad of units, I really think it needs to be Phobos. It's not just 17% more. People need to stop looking at dice rolls as numbers only. I never roll that many 5s or 6s. I can roll 1s easily, though. Yeah, isn't that just the truth? You can roll 1s easily until you need to do a morale test, right? And then you can bust out those 5s and 6s. Alright, anti-horde. We got 2 Redemptors. We got about 15 Angelus bolt guns. I think 14 actually. We got the Whirlwind. So anti-horde isn't great, but is reasonable. Anti-vehicle monster is pretty decent, I guess. Like all those lightning claws, all the swords and axes, more swords, Librarian, Redemptors, Captain with Teeth of Terra. I'd say it's like a 9, maybe slightly less because we don't have that many 3 damage weapons. Maneuverability or mobility is very good. The only things that aren't mobile was the Blade Guard, the Dreadnoughts and the Intercessors. I'm going to give it an 8. If it was in cursors, I'd probably give it an 8.5. And there's a fly in here and it's driving me mad, by the way. It keeps buzzing around in my vision. And then Specialization. We do have Fight Last. We do, I guess, have 2 denies, but I think he messed up here. I think he's paid the points for the Chief Librarian, but not written it down. So technically, I think it would be 3 denies. Units for actions, I guess, like some of your Vanguard veterans or your Blade Guard or whatever can do actions, and your Intercessors. So unit for actions is good. 3 damage weapons is low. Number of command points is 6, which is fine. So probably just like an 8.5 for Specialization. Maybe even a 9. We'll say 9. I feel generous. I think I've been a little bit generous today overall. But yeah, I mean, I ran a list like this 6 months ago. I thought it would be decent. Nell, if you have been to a tournament with this list, please let us know how you got on with it in like Discord or in a Facebook post. That would be cool to see. I've got some Black Blood Angels dice with red drops for pips off eBay recently. I hope they roll me more 6s. I think they're the ones that GW released with the Blood Angels Codex not too long ago, Lord Lethargic, sorry. Because they did... I think I have some of those black dice as well, actually. But they don't show up very well on our dice cam on the stream, so I don't use them. Okay, so... Nell's list could be made better probably by making one Librarian more reliable, removing the other one because we want to make it difficult for the opponent to score Assassinate, and then maybe taking some Phobos troops, maybe giving... If you're gonna commit this hard to jump units, I'd probably go ahead and take the Selfless Healer Warlord trait because I feel like you'd get value out of that, and then maybe get some more 3 damage weapons in here. A couple of Infernal Pistols through the Sangri Guard, maybe a Thunderhammer on each of the Vanguard Veteran Sergeants. Sometimes Vanguard Veteran... You know, I've run a single Thunderhammer on the Vanguard Veteran Sergeants and felt like it was a little bit lackluster. So I'd probably say... I'd probably say 2 Thunderhammers in each Vanguard Veteran, or something of... Maybe one squad is 2 Thunderhammers or 3 Thunderhammers, but one Thunderhammer sometimes... It feels like it's pretty easy to whiff the attacks. Okay. But yeah, overall, it's a reasonably decent list. I do like the fact you've got 2 squads of Sangri Guard. You know, they do just rip the enemy to pieces. So I think that's kind of the end of the part where we go over... The part where we go over people's army list today. Maybe 10-man, the Vanguard Veteran Squad for a combat squad option. Yeah, you could totally do that. I guess the advantage of having 2 squads is that you get 2 sergeants. It's minor, I guess. But yeah, you could make the Vanguard Veteran into one large squad and then combat squad it. So, alright, do you know what? I'm gonna quickly boot up Battle Scribe and try and see what I had, because I think we spoke at the very start, Lord, about your list with a bunch of dreadnoughts, and I wanted to see how it sort of compared to what I'd put together. Now, what I put together, I'm sure, isn't perfect, and it maybe actually needs a little bit of work tonight. because I'm fighting Andrew's buggies tomorrow, and if you haven't seen Andrew's buggies, then tune in tomorrow, because it's the most broken shit you'll ever see in Warhammer. It's going to be very, very difficult for me to beat them, no doubt. They excel at killing... they absolutely excel at killing Toon Marines, it feels like. Right, so what did I have? And I was building Battalion as well. 7 CP here. So I built my... Can I make this slightly wider? I built my Captain on the Bike, all the bells and whistles. So Chapter Master, Armor Indomitus, Artisan of War, Gift of Foresight, Thunderhammer, Infernal Pistol. Librarian, Might of Heroes, Null Zone, Psychic Fortress, Jump Pack, Chief Librarian. I think he's got the sword. I don't think he has anything else beyond that. No, just Psychic Mastery so that he can cast reliably. And then the Tech Marine, Master of the Forge so we can do the 3-point repairs, and then Soul Warden. So he gives off the bubble of Feel No Pain. Intercessors, Assault Intercessors, and Incursors. If I had another squad of Incursors, I would probably try and go... If I had another squad of Incursors, I'd probably try and go 2 squads of Incursors. I just ordered them with my £10 voucher. Is this list tailored for the new Arc list? No, this is going to be my tournament list, Steel Rain. So it's definitely not tailored for the Arc list. I'm hoping it's strong against the Arc list, but it is going to be my final tournament list. And I think there's some changes to be made here yet. We had 5 Blade Guard veterans. We had 2 Redemptors with the Stormbolters, the Rocket Pods, the Macroplasma, and the Onslaught. And the reason I included the Rocket Pods was because Dukari, and the Rocket Pods are actually really good at helping kill the Raiders because they're -1, which is what the Raiders need to go on to their 5-up and run anyway, and they're 2 damage. And in the last tournament, I just ran 2 Redemptors and neither had Rocket Pods, and I kind of struggled to open up a couple... Well, in one game I failed to open up the Dukari Raider and it cost me the game, so I think this will help me. We have 2 Relic Contemptors with the Volkite coverings, no extra anything, just as they come. And then we have, I think this was an 8-man Sangri Guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Swords, axes, infernal pistols, same as I always run, 50-50. I had 1 attack bite down and I had the whirlwind. But I don't know if I have enough scoring units in this list. And I think when we talked about it the other night, I don't think we had enough jump units. There is no company veterans, but I was thinking I probably don't need the attack bite, right? Like, if you think about it, before my list was... Do you know what? Let me pull it up. In terms of like firepower from my list before, well, I can probably see from the picture a little bit here. I had 1 attack bike, 1 whirlwind, a 2nd attack bike, Inceptors, and the 2 Redemptors. Oh shit! So I probably don't need. I don't need attack. Like, I've replaced the attack bikes with 2 Contemptor Dreads essentially. So right, like the attack bike can probably go. And I guess this is what I was saying at the start, Lord Lethargic, in that, like, so I got 4 Dreadnoughts there. 2 of which need to be in the Psychic Fortress bubble, I guess. 2 of which can just be anywhere they want. Maybe not a million miles from Tech Marine, because you want the Tech Marine to be able to repair them. 2 Servitor units for the attack bikes. I don't have enough Servitor models. I only have 4 Servitor models, and 2 of them have heavy bolters. So I'm not sure the whirlwind is necessary. Yeah, I didn't have the whirlwind actually, and I was actually thinking like the bolter inceptors, because the whirlwind is good if you need the fight last or you need the removal of Overwatch, right? But like, do I need the removal of Overwatch with just 1 Sangri Guard squad? The other thing I can do is I can remove it and just go double Sangri Guard, right? So 4 Redemptors, double Sangri Guard, Blade Guard veterans. We lose some of your utility in that, like, we don't have any fight last. We would have enough units for scoring, that's for sure. I don't think... I think the Volkite Contemptors are just too good to ignore right now. Highland. I think the only other way we could do it is if we just took 1 Redemptor and two Relic Contemptors. I mean... But... I think if I take 1 Redemptor and 2 Relic Contemptors, I probably have quite a strong list, but I probably lose to the Orcs. So I guess the question is, how much do I worry about the Orcs? And yeah, it's a good question. You know, it's a very good question, because, like... I can still get value. Die, you stupid fly! I can still get value. The only reason we're taking Volcons as Immortals, I find that inconsistent. Yeah, the Mortals are inconsistent as well, because they're on 6s, so they go from anywhere from 1 mortal wound a turn, or sometimes even 0 mortals, up to 5, right? I had 5 mortal wounds a couple of times. This week on the game against the Tau, the mortals that came out from those Relic Contemptors was disgusting. There's like 5 every single time I shoot them, and I guess if you run 2 Relic Contemptors, you, like I said, you edge your bets. You kind of give yourself a good chance, because realistically you can have like 32 dice to roll, and every 6 is a mortal. And if you pop Wisdom of the Ancient or something, you're re-rolling 1s as well. You can get so many mortals. Perhaps remove Redemptor and attack bikes for another Sangri Guard and take Inceptors instead of the Whirlwind. You can't plan around just one army. Yeah, that's the thing. You're right. You can't just plan around one army. So I'm trying to build something that is strong against everything. And this list that I had before was... Oh, shit. Wrong picture. This list here, can I make that bigger? Like, I felt this was pretty, this was generally pretty strong. I liked it a lot. The company veterans, wherever they are. Where are they? I don't know where my company veterans are in this picture. Oh, they're hiding behind that dreadnought. You can see them back there. This was pretty strong. Like, it only just lost against Ukari. If I'd had rocket pods on the dreadnoughts, I probably wouldn't have lost against Ukari. But they also said the terrain at this tournament was going to be pretty lackluster as well, or there was going to be very little terrain, I guess. So, kind of have to factor that in, that there will not be a huge amount of terrain. Okay, well, I don't know. I need to build a list for tomorrow. Do you know what? I'm going to call the stream just now. If any of you guys want to look at this and help me build a list in the members room over on Discord, or even the general room, I guess, and tag me in it. I have Andrew's list as well. Let me show you Andrew's list so you know what he's bringing to the tournament. And yes, I don't want to tailor against a single army, but I don't want to go to a tournament where I know, oh, like, if I come up against Andrew's list, I've just got no chance of winning, right? Like, that would be pretty lame, I guess. So let me show you what Andrew's running. I think just don't take Terminators, lol. I like the Terminators. I know you hate them, but I kind of like them. All right, let me tell you what Andrew's running. His list's going to take 2 seconds to look at because it's all you know, Andrew. It's all the same units. It's all the strongest units. This is his list. So he has freeboot orcs, 2 scrapjets, 2 scrapjets, 2 scrapjets, a Daka jet, a Lasbomb blast jet, the Deathkiller war trike, 3 Raka buggies, 3 Raka trucks, 3 more Raka trucks, and another Daka jet. So it's basically 2 Daka jets, a Wasbomb blast jet, 6 scrap jets, and 9 Raka trucks. So the Raka trucks are basically really good at killing Marines because they're strength 5 minus 3 if he calls a speedwag. So they're generally very good at killing Marines. The scrap jets are very good at charging and firing missiles that are flat 3 damage at things. So they're very good at that. And then the Daka jets throw out an insane amount of strength 6 minus 2 firepower. So they're very good at killing as well. They're just 1 damage actually. So the advantage of Dreadnoughts is that, I guess the advantage of Dreadnoughts against this is the Dreadnoughts are T7. So he actually can only wound the Dreadnoughts from half his army on like over half his army can only wound the Dreadnoughts on 5s. So the Dreadnoughts, that's why I'm leaning towards 4 Dreadnoughts. And I normally wouldn't play this many Dreadnoughts, I guess, but I guess that's why I'm leaning towards them. I could make these Dreadnoughts cheaper. These ones probably don't need the rocket pods now. But I guess the rocket pods would be good against if I come up against AdMech flyers. The rocket pods are not going to be bad at all, right? The fact they're 3-booters does mean that they cannot fall back and shoot. Yeah, that's very true. So, like, if I'm fighting against them, I'm obviously going to start the Sangri Guard off the table, and we're going to come in and we're going to try and charge. Of course, we're going to do that. We'll probably spend 1 CP and reserve a squad of assault intercessors as well, so they can come in and charge. I need to make some assault intercessors with like thunder hammers and power swords, so I have that option. I think it was Steel Rain that was saying assault intercessors for 1 CP into reserve. So I probably want to put a squad of assault intercessors and a squad of company veterans into reserve. Let me just add that, company veterans. And the company veterans I've got, I can keep them cheap. I've got one with a double chainsword, and I've got one with a storm shield and chainsword, so I could keep them reasonably cheap. Like, this one could just run 2 chainswords, and this one could run a storm shield, wherever it is, storm shield, and a chainsword. So I could keep them in for like 44 points. And then that leaves me... And remember, they would be free because I have a captain in my list. Steel Rain, have you considered the old list with Volkites instead of the Redemptors? If I do that in the old list, I'm down to like 3 CP, right? Because the problem with the old list was... it only started with like 5 CP, right? Could you switch a Redemptor single one to a Leviathan, use the rest of the points for a second Sangri Guard, and then try to squeeze in Interceptors? Yeah, I mean... why I do have a Leviathan, but what's the thought behind the Leviathan? Like, what does that bring that the Redemptors doesn't? Move stuff around to make it a battalion. Volcon leaves you more points to add troops. Well, it's kind of better than Redemptor for firepower, if taking a single one. Are they? I mean, the Gravflux Bombad, I guess, is a little bit more reliable. There's one less strength, though, you know that? Over the Plasma Cannon and the Redemptor, and then I guess against things that don't have a 3-up save, it's only 2 damage. Yeah, I actually don't have a Siege Drill at the moment either, which is annoying, because the Siege Drill is the better option for the Claw. It's also not core, so you can't get rerolls on Leviathan, I guess, right? 300 killers in a melta gun. I guess you could take 300 killers. Just try and hit the bikes with a ton of hunter killers in turn 1, or the buggies in turn 1. Well, this is the template for a battalion at the moment. And if we did add Inceptors, we get like 25 points to play with at this point. This is an 8-man squad of Sangri Guards, so it could be made a little bit weaker. But this list here actually has a ton of units for performing actions, right? Like, we've got 2 squads of Assault Intercessors, we've got an Incursor squad, we've got a Blade Guard Veteran squad, we've got a Company Veteran squad, we've got a Sangri Guard, we've got an Inceptor squad. So we have actually 7 units that can perform actions. So retrieve Octaria's data with this list would probably be very easy. We also have 4 Redemptors, so we can 4 Dreadnoughts. Surely we can throw one of the Dreadnoughts center table and just start scoring Oath. So, like, 2 of our secondaries are gonna kind of be fairly easy to do, I would have thought. If he tries to screen me, I guess the Relic Contemptors we can use them to kill the screening. Like, I actually kind of like this. I didn't think this was going to be the list, but I mean, it could be. I could even put in another Phobos unit here if we wanted a squad of infiltrators, just to make our backfield like super safe. Like, leave a squad of infiltrators in the backfield and then just push everything else forward a bit. And the one thing I don't like about this is just 1 jump unit, right? But I mean, I have been playing 1 jump unit and winning. You know, like in the more recent games that I've been playing, I have only. Let me save this. And let me pull up like the list that we've been. So apart from like last week, the list that I've been playing, and it would have been I'm trying to think. Against the Tau, I took my I guess the last time I played like my standard list was against the Necrons, against John, maybe like on the 13th September, let me check. Yeah, I think the list that I took against John. So what did I take against John? I took the same Captain on the Bike, the same Tet Marine, 1 squad of Incursors, 7 Sangri Guard, so 1 less Sangri Guard. I did have those large squad of Terminators with... No, this wasn't the game then. Hold on. It was the game against Brett's Orcs, I think. That was the first time I tried out Terminator. So the game against Brett's Orcs. I was going to say, this isn't quite right either, because I dropped the suppressors and replaced them with eliminators. But everything should be right except the suppressors got replaced with eliminators. So, yeah, 1 less Sangri Guard. 5-man Terminator scored with bolters, attack bike in the Whirlwind, Blade Guard veterans, company veterans, the 2 Redemptors, the Inceptors, and the suppressors. Yeah, so the difference, I guess, is we lose the Whirlwind, we lose a squad of suppressors, and we lose a squad of Terminators. And a couple of attack bikes, but what we gain is 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, company veterans. I actually don't know if I need the company veterans at this point. With Blade Guard veterans, Sangri Guard, Inceptors, Incursors, Assault. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you could lose the company veterans and take the attack bike back. And if you did that, you'd then have you still have 5 units that can score. No, 6. Blade Guard, Sangri Guard, Inceptors, Incursors, Assault Intercessors. you're 1 point there away from actually having the second squad of Incursors, which you probably could do. I could just drop like an Infernal Pistol or rocket pods, have 2 squads of Incursors, then I don't think you need them. 1 jump unit is never enough. Inceptors don't count. Yeah, I mean, Inceptors don't count. 1 jump unit might be enough if the Relic Contemptors do 10 mortal wounds every shooting phase, right? I mean, those things have the potential to just take over the game. You run into a mess of Melta or Lances, and you'll have big drops in killing potential. I suppose there's an argument to say just take 3 Dreadnoughts. You know that? The games I've been winning recently, I've only had 2 Dreads. So I've been running 1 Relic Contemptor and 1 Redemptor Dreadnought, and I've been fine with that. I felt like that was pretty good. If you drop the other Redemptor, let's say, you could add the Whirlwind. You could add the other attack bite back. Yeah, and then you're literally... Relic Contemptors can't take Hunter Killers, can they? No, disappointing. That's why I was thinking I need an Assault Intercessor Sergeant with a Power Sword or something. Or, hold on, we go back to a 7-man Sangri Guard. And then you've got the points for your company veterans. So you get loads of ways of scoring in that list. Like, absolutely loads. I can't decide. Someone, do you know what? I'll probably I'll go ahead and play 4 Dreadnoughts tomorrow. And I'll probably not like it, and that means what I'll do for my tournament is I will decide. I'll take 3 I'll find out what I'm missing. I wish I had another game before this tournament, but unfortunately I don't. But it's just that stupid orc list. The other thing I can do is I can just completely ignore the orc list and just take what I thought that I was going to take anyway. And then if I run into the orc list, just try and make sure I score high on my secondaries and stuff and do that. That's probably what we'll do then. Forget the orcs. Yeah, I think you're probably right. When you worry about something too much, it can get you into a tough situation. Alright, I will forget the orcs. I'm going to play the orcs anyway tomorrow night, but I'll forget them and I'll go look at the list that I had that I thought was pretty good. And I'll try and... Yeah, you're going to come up against stupid lists anyway. You're right. I think I would prefer, if I can, to have 2 squads of Sangri Guard. Here's the question, though, right? I guess the main question that I want to ask, right? Looking at... Where was the picture that I had a minute ago of my army list, right? So, like, I felt my firepower in this list was pretty good. It just... Overall, I felt the firepower in this list was good, right? So the firepower really was 2 Redemptors. In turn 1, I always had the attack bikes in reserve. So my firepower in turn 1, that was it. 2 Redemptors. And I felt that was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it, except that one game that I lost against Dukari. But overall, I feel like it was fine. So if my firepower was good like that, then maybe just 1 Redemptor and 2 Relic Contemptors. That's it. That's all I need. I guess... Oh shit, it's really raining today. Here's the question. If you guys were running 2 Relic Contemptors and 1 Redemptor, do you think that is equivalent in firepower of like 2 attack bikes and 2 Redemptors? Like... Does this 2 attack bikes plus... I'm just going to write it down because it's confusing me. 2 Redemptors plus 2 multi-melt attack bikes V's, 1 Redemptor, plus 2 Relic Contemptors. Like, what do you guys think is better? Because I think the problem, or at least my experience, is the Relic Contemptors feel more reliable. Because you stop the enemy making saves, right? You just always deal mortal wounds and they can't always save it, and it just feels like the damage is more reliable. And I think this is probably why a lot of top players have moved to the Relic Contemptors, right? Highland Phoenix has 3,339 Black Rage points. Are you the top of the leaderboard? Can we get a Black Rage point leaderboard? I don't know, let me see. Let's see if we can get a Black Rage point leaderboard, and then we're going to end the stream because I got to go have dinner or something like that. Drop Vanguard Vets and attack bites for troops, and you can make and you can... Chris's list, which ran 1 Volcon and 1 Contemptor. Oh, yeah, Chris Chance. Yes, you're right. What did Chris run? Let me find it. 1 second. I thought he ran 3 Dreadnoughts. I've got it here. This is what Chris ran. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so he ran exactly what I'm talking about. Incursors, Incursors, Incursors. Dante, Chaplain, Priest, Relic Contemptor, Redemptor, Relic Contemptor, Sangri Priests. Alright, we're gonna figure something out. I want to see the Black Rage points. Cloudbot, betting. I actually don't know how to see. Oh, here we go. Loyalty points. Here's your top loyalty points. Your second, Highland Phoenix. Emperor's Son is 3rd. Pedroig. Wow, I have not seen Pedroig in too many streams recently, but he is right up there. So is Camille. Steel Rain. Jaegerbomb 2. Adam, Steve. Not seen Adam in a little while, actually. But there's your leaderboard. Just try Chris's list for fun. Yeah, I'm gonna heavily lean on what Chris has got here. Thank you for reminding me that he ran this. So that was the only firepower he had. He had no Inceptors, nothing on top of that. Just the 2 Relic Contemptors. And what did he? He came 8th out of 58th. Oh yeah, you lost to Admech, and I can't remember who the other one you lost against was, but interesting. Now we know someone has more points than me. Cool. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had some enjoyment. I'm going to do exactly what you guys said. Ignore the orcs. Try and just make something fun and something strong for tomorrow. 3 Dreadnoughts is enough firepower with the Sangri Guard. If there's points, we might try and sneak in an attack bike in reserve, because I am going to put a squad of assault intercessors into reserve, so there is the potential to put 4 power level of additional stuff in reserve for free. So 1 attack bike might be perfect to squeeze in. The whirlwind might be nice to squeeze in as well. How does that look? Wow, this actually gives me room for the Inceptors too. So I might lose in. So if I lost the Incept, I think I got it. I think I know what I want to do. I really appreciate all the comments in chat, because I really want to win this tournament. I feel like once I've won a tournament, a grand tournament, I can come back here and I can make a video on it, and I can gain. Someone put a comment on one of the videos that was like, Blood Angels Commander, you suck. You only play your friends, and you beat them or something. And then last week there was another one. I think Tony saw it or something, because he was like, do you want me to remove this comment? And I was like, no, it's fine. Some guy was like, yeah, but you know you suck, right? So I would like to at least win a grand tournament at some point, and then If someone says you suck, I can be like, yeah, sure, but I win grand tournaments. It's fine. Okay. Super cheap company veteran squad here. They can be in reserve. Or maybe not. Maybe they don't even need to be in reserve. They can just be on the board. Storm Shield, Storm Shield, Storm Shield. Right, so we've got Blade Guard veterans, 2 company veterans, the Redemptor, the Contemptor, the Sangri Guard, the Attack Bike. So it would be the Attack Bike and the Assault Intercessors in reserve, and then we just go Sangri Guard and see how many we can actually get. So we could get basically a 5-man Sangri Guard. So we'd have a 7 and a 5. An Infernal Pistol in the 7, and probably in the 5 I'll need to put an Infernal Pistol for sure, and I'll probably need to have one guy with like a Power Fist, because I don't know if I have that many without swords and axes. I made some before. Haters gonna hate, yeah. Twats gonna be twats, I guess. But it would be nice to have won a tournament. It would be nice. So I'm probably going to have one with a Power Fist or something, and one, because I literally don't have 13 or 12 with all swords and axes. That would be. Do you know what? I might have 12 with all swords and axes, but I might not. And then I've got like 7 points left over. So do you know what? We can give that second company veteran a shield. If my incursors come on Monday, though, I could quickly make... maybe drop the company vets for more Sangri Guard, as you have 3 troops. Yeah, you know, you're maybe right. I mean, it only really gives me probably 1 more, though, right? If my incursors come before Friday, because the lists have to come before, the lists have to be submitted before Friday, I could maybe quickly try and make the second squad of incursors, so I could run, because I do think 2 squads of incursors and 1 squad of assault intercessors is the ideal for this list, right, in terms of support. And then we do have the assault intercessors coming in from the edge with 1 attack bike just to snipe something. We still have that whirlwind in there. 3 units for actions, I guess. Sounds good. Alright, this is going to be... I'm going to save this as... I think this may be my list. I don't know how the fuck it does against orcs, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow night. I'll maybe proxy, actually. Like, I'll maybe just proxy 1 squad of assault intercessors as... I'll use my infiltrators and, like, use them as incursors. That was... You think people would be upset at a tournament? Infiltrators and incursors, are they close enough to be proxied at a tournament, or do I need to actually make all the models this week? Can you get Icon of the Angel on the Librarian? I mean, I can. How many CP have I got? 7? Is that right? Yeah, I mean, the Librarian could take Icon of the Angel. You would be about the only character that could take it, right? Right after telling, I would take 1 intercessor squad over having 2 assault intercessors if you can get if you can't get incursors. I mean, I ordered incursors with my £10 off voucher. Like, I actually ordered them today because I think today is the 31st, right? You could spend 1 CP and give the Librarian Tomb of Malkador and then take Veil of Time. Literally what I just told the guy not to do in the stream earlier. Like, I was like, yeah, you don't need 4 psychic powers, just fucking choose. So we could do that. And that's kind of the same thing. You'd go for Icon of the Angel? Okay. Alright, I'm going to share this list anyway in Discord. You guys can give me some more comments and thoughts and see if we can make it as good as it needs to be. It needs to be on Friday for the tournament. So yeah, any further thoughts on how we finish this off would be appreciated. Like I said, I probably... Do you know what? Let me check what Sangri Guard models I have, and then I'll post it. But thank you so much for being here, guys. Always appreciate the hanging out, the feedback, the help. I hope I helped some of you guys this week, and I will catch you tomorrow night against the Orcs. And hopefully I'll catch some of you in Discord later on as well. Have a great evening. Thanks again for watching. By the blood are we made strong. And I think, peace, but I think what we'll do this week is then we'll look at troops, because Reziel wants to see a bit more comparison on troops, some math hammer. We haven't looked at troops in too much depth. Let's maybe make another video on troops, and we'll see you guys then. Have a good evening. Peace.